The Winds of Change, a full cast audiobook, written by Leena Valtapaz and narrated by Loganne Digma. Chapter 4.
Lewa fell through the blackness, only a wisp of awareness wandering about his mind. He could tell he was falling, judging by the wind whistling past his body. He could also smell a particular scent, a rusted, coppery metal mixed with fresh plant fibers. Was he bleeding? The next thing he knew, Lewa was lying down in a shallow pool of water, only a few centimeters deep. Getting to his feet, he looked around and couldn't help gasping in amazement. As far as his eyes could see, the pool stretched on forever, the surface unbroken, save the ripples he had just made. Once they smoothed out, it felt as if he were standing in a sea of glass. But what the sea reflected was, if possible, more breathtaking. Hundreds of millions of stars dotted the sky, which wore a dazzling coat of lavender and light periwinkle, never changing color. It was in an eternal sunset. Lewa put a hand to his mask, intending to rub it to take in the view. But when his hand touched his head, it felt softer and more sensitive than a mask. Growing worried, he looked down at his reflection. His bare face looked back at him. Almost as if his body had only reacted just then, Lewa's legs gave out from under him. He landed with a splash, sending ripples on and on. They disappeared behind the horizon. He could scarcely breathe, let alone move. The sky became darker, as did the stars. Within seconds, every single star had gone out, and the skies had become a dark void. Lewa felt a tug at his wrist, then another tug, this time at his leg. Soon, the invisible force was squeezing and pulling on his limbs. Too tight! Realizing his eyes were closed, he opened them and found himself in black space, tied helplessly in vines. After the initial shock, Lewa tried to communicate with the plants, telling them to free him. But after failing, he recalled he didn't have his mask, and if that were the case, brute force wouldn't work either. If anything, it would be less effective.
Wait, not yet,
his voice said. The tone was lower-pitched and colder than usual, and there was a hint of bestiality in it.
You must walk into the light first, sister,
he found himself saying.
For only then can you free this one.
He had no clue why he said that, but he reckoned it couldn't have been good. In the distance, a muffled voice, Gali's voice, gave a reply.
Yes, it does,
Lewa's voice said back.
But pain is a small price to pay for the freedom it grants you. Come.
Gali timidly asked a question.
I am,
Lewa's voice said.
And you have to.
Unable to even twitch a finger, Lewa waited in silence.
So, question.
Tahu said slowly.
If you're supposed to be a Toa of lightning, why is your armor purple?
The Toa sighed, digging his lance into the ground.
What other colors would I be? Kopaka took white, and Gali took blue.
Don't forget Onua. He took purple. Why can't you be, I don't know, bright yellow or something?
Tahu sat next to the Toa.
Besides, lightning isn't an element.
Neither is jungle. Air or wind makes far more sense.
Tahu's mouth fell open.
You can't be serious. Lewa, master of wind? That's completely, that's wrong.
What's so wrong about it?
Think of the jungle. Color?
Green.
Tahu nodded.
Right. So Lewa's armor is that color. Think of air or wind. What color?
Green.
Right. So, wait.
Tahu stared straight through the Toa of lightning.
Did you just say green?
The Toa nodded. Tahu's face made a very creative contortion.
So you're saying wind is green?
Obviously,
answered the Toa. Slowly, Tahu dragged his hand down his face.
Of all the... What did you say your name was again?
Voriki.
Tahu, wake up.
Kopaka's voice called.
Come on, Tahu. We saw
I'm up, you stupid snowball.
Tahu groaned.
What's going on that's so important?
Kopaka scoffed.
I was about to tell you, but you seemed keen on interrupting me.
I'm not interrupting you now, am I?
You know what? Forget it. It's pointless.
Oh, I see how it is.
Tahu sniffed.
First you complain about me interrupting you, now you complain when I'm not? You just want to argue, don't you?
Flare light came from the city,
Pohatu interrupted.
If you two aren't in the middle of something, we should go there as soon as possible.
Tahu quickly said,
Someone needs to work on conversation skills.
but all the same, left Kopaka alone. He'd deal with him later.
What are we waiting for?
For you to be ready.
Pohatu answered.
I am ready, Pebblehead. Let's go.
Onua forced his eyes open for the third time. Each time became more difficult, and unless he specifically focused on keeping awake, he found himself slipping away. Jolting took even more energy, and he didn't want to think of the power necessary to take down Gali. Gali herself seemed to be in a trance. Her eyes glowed with unnatural brightness, and her body stood straight as a sword. Slowly, she began to approach the window.
Gali, I know you're better than this!
Onua managed the call.
You need to fight it! To protect the Akotans!
The Toa of Water stopped.
You think I'm protecting Akotans by keeping them enslaved? Locked up in their clumsy two-legged forms? I'm helping these poor villagers, Onua. They can defend themselves properly once they're free. You can't understand, of course. Why?
She said with a chuckle.
You're probably thinking I've lost my mind.
She walked to the window, stopping just next to where the moonlight shone.
I don't blame you for not understanding. You must be terrified. But don't worry. I'll help you once I'm finished.
How is changing them into monsters saving them?
Onua shot back, adrenaline building up.
Listen to what you're saying, Gali. That beast is taking your free will. The same will happen to the villagers if you go through with the beast's plan. You're not freeing the Akotans, you're enslaving them. Do you understand?
Gali gritted her teeth.
You don't know what you're missing out on.
Nor do I ever want to know.
Onua answered. He leaped at Gali.
That was sudden.
Tahu remarked.
You're welcome.
Replied Pohatu, setting him and Kopaka down as he deactivated his sand tornado.
And thanks for giving out directions.
He added with hesitance. Tahu nodded, looking queasy.
Don't mention it. As in, really, don't. I think my stomach's back in the forest somewhere.
Save the Technicolor yawns for later.
Kopaka said dryly.
We need to give the sink foil to Lewa, assuming Onua did his job in keeping him inside.
A faint crash erupted from the house, along with a cry of,
Let me go!
Kopaka face-palmed.
One job, Onua. One.
Come on.
Pohatu said. Tahu nodded again.
Agreed. Come on, Onua!
I meant we should come on over and help him.
Oh, right.
Shall we, brave and bright leader?
Kopaka asked mordantly. Tahu scoffed.
Obviously, that crash told me Onua must be in danger.
Kopaka blinked many times.
You realize just... Remind me how a brick became our leader.
Again, the ice block just wants to argue.
Tahu snapped.
Do you want Onua to become one of those things?
He won't.
The fire and ice Toa each turned to Pohatu, who was just deactivating his sand tornado with Onua in his arms.
I still need Gali.
He said quickly, setting him down.
Take him and fix his mask somehow. Arguing won't get anyone anywhere, so stop.
Before either Toa could speak, Pohatu had sped off. Tahu sighed.
I've said it before. I'll say it again. Pohatu really needs to work on conversation skills. But first things first.
He bent down, looking into Onua's tired eyes.
Do you feel hurt?
Onua thought for a moment, eventually asking.
Physically or spiritually?
Let's go with the first one.
Tahu said haltingly. Onua gave a weak, helpless smile.
Why, I'm fit as a peach, though my mask is damaged, so there wouldn't be a difference if I weren't wearing it. But other than that and a bruise or two, I'm fine. No scratches.
He let out a sigh.
I dearly wish I could say the same for Gali.
Wait, it happened to... You mean she...
No, she hasn't changed. Not yet, at least.
With a yawn, Onua relaxed.
My, I forgot how tired I was. Is it okay with you if I take a nap?
Can you answer just a few more... Ow!
Tahu grunted at a sharp jab in his side.
I've scanned him,
Kopaka whispered.
and his energy levels are low like I've never seen. He needs to rest.
And I need to know if Gali's okay.
Tahu shot back. He hesitated.
I mean, Gali's part of the team after all, and I need to make sure all of my teammates are well.
Kopaka frowned.
How can you be concerned about Gali when Onua lies essentially maskless at your feet? You were the one who was pressing to help Onua earlier.
Well, that was before he mentioned her.
Tahu said slowly. Kopaka's jaw dropped.
You did not just...
He punched Tahu in the chest, knocking the breath out of him.
Get her out of your head.
Tahu stumbled back, coughing hollowly. Still struggling to breathe, he managed to say,
What, jealous?
Kopaka gritted his teeth.
No. Your lovesickness is interfering with the mission, and that can't happen.
He grabbed Tahu's shoulder.
Even you're not stupid enough to miss that.
Tahu scoffed, but looked down, not saying anything until many moments later. Finally, he said,
Let's make sure Onua's comfortable. I'll repair his mask while you dress his wounds.
And kneeling down, he removed Onua's mask. At this point, Kopaka didn't bother questioning why or how Tahu would repair his mask, as he put it. Kopaka silently knelt down by the unconscious Toa, looking over him. Taking out the mashed cinquefoil Pohatu had prepared, he lathered the poultice onto Onua's badly bruised leg. Once he finished that, he moved to his other leg. It was a long, tedious task, but after minutes that felt like forever, Kopaka finally finished doing all he could in patching up his friend. Turning to his not-friend, he asked,
Are you finished with that yet?
Don't distract me,
came Tahu's sharp reply. He sighed a few seconds later.
I'm almost finished, and if I mess this part up, we'll all go to Ikamu, metaphorically and literally.
Can I help in any way?
Asked Kopaka, wisely choosing not to correct him on metaphorically.
You're doing plenty of help if you want me to fail.
Tahu had turned away, focusing on the red-hot mask in his hands. He began to seal the final claw mark with surprising precision, using a tiny fireball as a welder.
But I want to help you succeed.
Tahu stopped, and the mask instantly cooled down. He looked at Kopaka.
All this time, and now you want to help me succeed? Is Pohatu blackmailing or bribing you?
Neither.
Kopaka said before he let out a long sigh.
No beating around the bush. I'll just say it. I'm sorry for what I said earlier. I don't know what I was thinking.
You mean with the Seidu drink?
Tahu put down Onua's mask.
You know, maybe... Nah.
What?
I just thought, well, maybe it's my fault you said that. I mean, if I hadn't said that mind in gutter thing, none of us would be in this mess. I'm sorry.
As am I.
And I'm sorrier than both of you.
Pohatu said, dropping an unconscious Toa of water onto the ground.
I could fix my own scratches once I'm done with Lewa. You fix her up as you did Onua.
Are you sure you can handle him alone?
Kopaka called. Pohatu was already gone. Lewa had stopped trying to struggle long ago. Soreness in his arms had grown far too intense. Now if he did more than stretch a finger, his entire arm would ignite in throbbing pain, which escalated to the point where he could scarcely feel anything else. The thorny vines tugging at his wrist didn't exactly help either. So he lay alone, suspended in a realm of nothingness, waiting for it to be over. Would it ever stop? Could it?
Your turn, monster.
Startled by Pohatu's voice, Lewa jerked his head toward the noise. Bad idea. Trying hard to push the pain away, he tried to call Pohatu's name.
Stone Toa.
His voice growled. Pohatu's eyebrow arched.
You've been silent an awfully long time. Did it take you only until now to figure out my element?
Lewa blinked many times. This was Pohatu? Since when had he become so talkative?
No response?
Pohatu's tone was an unreadable mix of emotions.
I would have expected more chatter from a wolf like you, especially since you were Lewa.
But I still am.
Lewa protested, tensing.
I am a wolf,
Said his voice. Pohatu scoffed.
Obviously, but I want to know about Lewa. How easy was it to free him?
The wolf seemed to like that question, relaxing Lewa's muscles.
He was an easy one to free.
It said, the glee in its tone obvious.
But making him believe he isn't enslaved? He is a stubborn one.
More stubborn than me, you think?
Pohatu asked, the faintest smile forming on his face. Lewa couldn't believe what he was seeing. This couldn't have been Pohatu. The wolf felt interested.
You are saying that if I try to free you, you will resist for longer?
I doubt you could even hit me.
Pohatu said. Lewa noticed the arrogant tone Pohatu was using. It sounded forced and exaggerated, but the wolf seemed to take it for granted.
Go ahead and try.
Pohatu sneered.
If you free me, and I don't believe you can, I'll serve your cause forever. But if you don't end up capturing me and I defeat you first, you'll have to give Lewa back. Fair enough?
Lewa could feel resentment begin to boil within the wolf.
Pohatu will win.
He said to the wolf.
You should just give me up before he punches you in the face for it.
Amazingly, the wolf listened. Bending down to the lowest crouch, it spoke through his voice.
Give it to us.
Pohatu blinked.
What?
Give us Lewa's mask.
The wolf said.
Then I will have the energy to let Lewa go.
You seriously think I'll give you the mask?
Pohatu said with a dismissive scoff.
You take me for a fool. The moment I get near you, you'll dig those claws into me.
You are no fool. Just a coward who's afraid of scratches.
There's a difference between cowardice and wisdom. Do you know that difference?
Do you?
Pohatu gave the ghost of a grin.
Cliff vultures, no. Nor can I tell the difference between courage and foolhardiness. Some things may never change.
He held his arms up to the stone ceiling, his mask beginning to glow. A rumbling sound began to emanate. The wolf realized what the Toa of stone was trying to do. Lewa could sense the wolf was thinking intensely, but he couldn't tell what it was thinking. His voice suddenly called out.
You'll kill Lewa!
Pohatu paused.
Of course I won't. Don't be ridiculous. I said to a talking wolf, Toa.
Whatever I feel, he feels tenfold.
The wolf said.
A punch in the chest for me is a mountain collapsing for him. How could he stand a ceiling caving in on us?
He's had an arena cave in on him.
Pohatu said, folding his arms.
I swear you could use his head as a catapult stone and he'd hardly notice his head was missing in the first place.
Lewa laughed. Who knew Pohatu had a sense of humor?
Besides,
Pohatu continued smoothly,
for all I know, you could be lying, bluffing to make sure I can't hurt you. But even then, I'll win in the end either way. If I know you're lying, I'll simply crash the ceiling on you. If I know you're telling the truth, though, I suppose I'll keep you here.
He held up the mutated mask of jungle.
That shouldn't be too hard. Only hard part for you is at sunrise.
Lewa, to his joy, could feel fear rise within the wolf as it processed Pohatu's words.
You can't keep me here, Toa.
It hissed.
Can't I?
Pohatu said cheekily. He brandished the mask in his hand.
And why not, may I ask? Has the power of wolf magic spontaneously replenished your energy, or are you just trying to make conversation with the few hours you have left?
At this point, Lewa could sense the wolf's fear become dread, then panic.
But the pack! We must grow the pack! Grow the pack, my mask!
Lewa interrupted gleefully.
You may as well tie yourself up and wait until sunrise.
Oddly enough, the wolf seemed to listen again. Slowly, it folded Lewa's clawed hands behind his back with what little strength they both had.
I can't hurt you now. Tie me up.
Pohatu frowned.
You've got to be joking.
Tie me up,
repeated the wolf.
Then I can't hurt you when you put on Lewa's mask.
Lewa himself smiled at the idea. He missed the strength of having his mask on. Then perhaps the soreness would leave. Perhaps then he could be freed. Pohatu nodded slowly.
I suppose that makes sense.
There's some rope in my closet,
Lewa told the wolf. Then he hastily added,
I keep it there for legitimate, totally non-creepy reasons.
He winced. That sounded somehow worse than his original sentence.
Rope is in the closet,
said his voice.
Lewa told me.
Thanks.
Pohatu began to approach the closet but stopped as he processed the wolf's sentence.
You do realize how strange it is
Yes, he said that too.
I see.
If Pohatu's eyebrow could raise any higher, it would hit the ceiling. Slowly, he stepped toward the closet but kept his eyes on the wolf. His hand fumbled on the knob. Just as he was opening the closet, Tahu, Onua, and Kopaka burst through the room's door, weapons drawn.
No, 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 no.
Pohatu breathed. Raising his voice to a speaking volume, he said,
Hold your fire, all of you. The beast isn't dangerous.
You're not the one who's been bitten by one of them.
Tahu shot back.
And anyway, I'm the one who calls the shots.
Lewa's still in there.
I know that. Toa, unite in Tyro formation, but knock him out. You kill it, you kill Lewa.
The Toa readied their weapons again, to which the wolf snarled.
Go ahead and grow his pain. He can hear all of this, and you can be sure he's terrified.
This was a blatant lie. At least, it would have been blatant if the Toa could see Lewa, who himself was grinning like a maniac. This was just what he'd been hoping for. All the Toa coming together in a final brawl that would save him. Sure, Gali was missing, but it was her own fault for having a glass jaw when Pohatu had hit her. And sure, the battle would have hurt like blazes, but it'd sure be worth it once he woke up in the end.
Bring it on!
Lewa declared.
Make that wolf regret ever freeing me.
He stopped, confused. Why did he use the word? Pain struck like a lightning bolt. Lewa's side burned in searing agony, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. What he had first seen as a dream come true had become a nightmarish reality. He was unable to move, unable to speak, helpless as his own teammates, his friends, beat down on him like a hailstorm on a glass pane. He finally understood. They were the ones at fault. They were holding him back, locking him away, enslaving him. The wolves were right. They were all right. That was Lewa's last conscious thought before mind-numbing pain knocked him out.
All of you are idiots.
Pohatu, we idiots saved your sorry little...
Kopaka interrupted Tahu, thankfully.
The wolf's unconscious for now. Can we all move before it wakes up?
The closest secure place is in the basement.
Onua suggested.
But it's not nearly as safe as the dungeon under the forge.
Let's put the beast in the basement for now.
Kopaka looked at Pohatu.
And your opinion?
My previous statement still stands.
Pohatu answered, taking a coil of rope from the closet. He handed it to Onua.
You can tie him up with this.
Onua took the rope, looking puzzled.
All right. But it seems odd that someone would keep roping. It's best not to think too much about it, so don't. Whatever you say, I suppose.
Slowly, Onua took the beast's wrists and ankles, binding them tightly.
There we go. Wrapped up like a Christmas present. Shall I bring him downstairs then?
It downstairs.
Kopaka corrected.
But yes.
Onua appeared put out, but more in disapproval than anger.
I will bring Lewa downstairs so he can be safe, and in turn protect the villagers from it.
Fair enough. But we can't waste any more time.
Kopaka walked to the door. As he opened it, he said,
As much as I hate to admit it, I believe Tahu should lead the way. We lost both lightstones in the cave, and he's our only source of light.
Someone's finally sticking up to me.
Tahu said gratefully. He snapped his fingers, and a bright fireball materialized above his hand.
Let's go, team. Onward, to the basement!
That sounded utterly ridiculous.
You're only saying that because you didn't get a chance to say it, Blizzard Breath.
What did you call me?
Lewa took a deep gasp of air. It took many more breaths before he could make sense of his surroundings. Thick ropes bound his wrists and arms, with the third rope tying his waist to a massive stone pillar. He was trapped, enslaved. He had to be free somehow. Somehow.
You're awake.
Kopaka spoke with a tone so chilling, Lewa started to shiver. He swore the temperature dropped by 3 degrees at least.
Yeah.
He said haltingly.
What tipped you off?
Kopaka didn't answer. In the sternest, coldest voice Lewa had ever heard, he said,
Tell me the names of your axes. No hesitation. Go.
Fuzzle and Tootsie.
Lewa answered instantly.
No.
Kopaka said.
Those are Tahu's weapons. Try again.
Lewa would have slapped himself if he could. How could he forget them when the time he named them was only...
They don't have names.
Correct.
Kopaka replied.
Next question. Favorite color?
Gold.
Lewa replied without blinking. Kopaka nodded.
Correct again. Last question.
Jeez, is this some sort of interview?
Authentic answer.
Kopaka walked behind Lewa, who relaxed as the ropes around his wrists loosened.
I still can't undo them completely, in case it comes back. But until then,
He said, walking back to him.
it's good to have you back, Toa Lewa.
But Lewa frowned.
I might have my mind back in control, but I'm not back. Look at me right now. I'm still a wolf. And even without that, you can't be serious. You and the others were beating me up, despite the wolf's pleading.
We had to get the wolf out of you somehow.
Kopaka said, his voice steady.
Yeah?
Lewa spat.
Look at my fur and fangs and tell me you got it out of me.
Look, the important thing is it's not controlling your actions or spitting out, "We must grow the pack," to anyone who cares enough to listen. Besides, when it said you felt pain 10 times stronger than it, we assumed it was bluffing.
Oh, so just because you think it's evil makes it a liar? You know what? I'm sick of this. I don't want to be a Toa. I quit.
End of chapter 4.